Gananaam tva ganapatigum havamahe. Gananaam tva ganapatigum havamahe. Kavim kavinam, kavim kavinam, upamasravastamam, upamasravastamam, jeshtarajam brahmanam, jeshtarajam brahmanam, brahmanaspata, brahmanaspata, ana Shrinmannotibis, ana Shrinmannotibis, Srida Sadhanam, Srida Sadhanam.
Well, I'm Mark Dyczkowski. People who haven't met me, they mostly know me as the author of a book called The Doctrine of Vibration. That came out in 1986. It was at that time when Kashmiri Shaivism was not very well known. It served as an introductory book for many, many people. I was born in London in 1951. I was in my teens in the 60s when everything was going on. I enjoyed the things that people enjoyed intensely at that time. Many things changed in society. People started altering their consciousness. East met West. It was tremendously exciting for all of us. Many things evolved together. I mean, one thing that you see certainly had a great impact on everybody, certainly my generation, were psychedelic drugs. A new music developed. You know, the Jefferson Aeroplane and, you know, the Pink Floyd and Grateful Dead. This was kind of psychedelic music. And art of a certain kind, and people felt they are fundamentally free. When I was 17, 18, in all of that intensity, well, I got very lost also, and so in order to find myself, to get back my mind, I went to India. And everything seemed very natural to me just to go to India and find a guru. If I look back on it, I should have thought it was a strange thing to do, but I didn't at all. I've read all the usual things, and Vivekananda and Yogananda, and started reading Ramakrishna, and then Tibetan Book of the Dead. Of course, we did that many times. Then I found myself in India in May. Unbelievably hot. I didn't know that anywhere in the world that it could be as hot as that. Okay. When I got to India, I got on a train. I got off for a moment to get some water, and my belt with the passport and money had broken, and when I got back in the carriage, it had gone. I was 17. I had the ticket in my pocket and some rupees, very few. I got off the train. I went to the police there. Now I'm 17, 18. I remember this huge, Sikh policeman went in crying. I lost everything, this and that. And he looked at me and said, do not worry. So many poor people in India. So then I realized, well, okay, it's gone. And then I felt the huge stomachache I had. And I just got on the next train an hour later and lay down on the floor somewhere and slept all night, just in the clothes. And a man, when I woke up, he looked at me and he said, where are you from? I said, I'm from England. England? Because so after the British left, you see, nobody went to India. There was no tourism to India, it didn't exist, you know. The late 60s, they were the first people who went to India. So we were still subs for those people, right? And they had been trained or brainwashed, whatever, to have great respect for that. So he was astonished. There's a 17-year-old Saab was here lying on the floor. And I asked, he said, what are you doing in India? I said, I'm looking for a guru. Oh, he was overwhelmed. He was very moved. He gave me some money, enough for 2-3 days in a hotel. Then the next day, a couple of people came, said, oh, we're very happy with this and that. And they took me to a guru and we stood in the ashram 6 months. And that way, I discovered that actually India is a place I wanted to be. I simply enrolled in Benares India University to study, Indian history and philosophy and then psychology. And then after that I did an MA in Indian philosophy of religions. I studied Sanskrit and of course I was doing music. I'd already started music. I'd already started studying Kashmiri Shaivism and Tantrism. Then I went back to England 4 years later. And then I did my PhD in Oxford, which was the doctrine of vibration. There was a man there called Sanderson, Alexis Sanderson, a very brilliant man. And Sanderson turned out to be, in retrospect, very exceptional. He was not at all average even for Oxford. I had a very hard time in Oxford because I felt I was very stupid. I felt here I come from the worst university in the world to the best one. And I'm very stupid and everybody around me is a genius. So that left a heavy scar on me for 5 or 6 years. When I came back here, I just played music. I just studied music. I couldn't open a book. Then I got married. My wife's Italian. Met her here in India. And we had the first children. And one day on the bus in Calcutta, she said, oh, why don't you just, revise your thesis and publish it? So I did eventually. In '86 it came out. I continued very much most of my interest, most of my time, we went into music. From me inside, I was just, thrilled to be in the music 24 hours, 7 days a week. Yeah. Sitar, you see, this music is, if you love it and you can hear it, it is something devastatingly beautiful and transformative. The words cannot describe my gratitude for the existence of that music. The music, I find, is considerably harder in a way than writing books or learning Kashmiri Shaivism. Up to a time I enrolled in another PhD and this and that, and then I got sucked back into this study. I went to Kashmir and spent six months with this most amazing man. You see, in '76 I met Swami Lakshmanji. Swamiji, you see, I got a model from him. It's not that I copy him, but I got a lot of peace from him. I got a feeling of the spirituality of Kashmiri Shavas. Shaiva Tantra prior to the 11th century is immense, and it's going to take dozens of people, some generations, to edit all those things and study them. No? At that time, hardly anything had been done, so everything was, new, and you had the wonderful experience of discovering new texts and fantastic things. The reading is a spiritual experience. One can read a text, or you can combine that with the great scholarly depth. The great teacher Abhinav Gupta of the 11th century was a great genius, intellectual genius, but he was also spiritually he was a greatly spiritual man. Nowadays, a new category has emerged by a few young people who are teaching Kashmiri Shaivism. They're called scholar practitioners. In India, this is how everybody was, and still is. And Abhinav Gupta was a scholar practitioner. That would be rather crazy, because the dichotomy didn't exist. So the combination of in-depth study and spirituality, spiritual life, spiritual growth is a part for some people. This is the same, in Christianity and Islam. Very pious people like Thomas Aquinas or Augustine or Gregory of Nyssa and so on, and the doctors of the church, so-called the Christianity, or Ibn Arabi, Averroes, or in Islam, Maimonides, and in Judaism, just some countless examples of scholar practitioners. These people are, of course, the great luminaries. We live, ordinary me, and even the great academics, we live by reflected light. No. So whether we appreciate the spirituality of Abhinav Gupta or Ibn Arabi or Thomas Aquinas, Plotinus, or their tremendous scholarship, their intellectual acumen, their brilliant ideas, if we feel that there's a separation between the two, then that's a big mistake. Plotinus used to say that there is a world of ideas, there's a realm of ideas, and you find it by looking up. And most of us, almost everybody, we spend our time looking down at what is produced from this realm of ideas. Now, so the life of the spirit, which nurtures ideas, the mind of the one that knows, then that's within us and sort of above us. And it's there that we contemplate not the ideas of Abhinav Gupta or Ibn Arabi or Maimonides, or we contemplate the great ideas in the mind of God. No. We are all a spirit. Whether you are thinking more monistic or less monistic, our essence, our soul, what concerns the meaning of our existence, why we are alive. Say, well, I wanted to write books and learn Kashmiri Shaivism or play sitar, and another person wanted something else. But why we are all alive is because the spirit lives within us, our soul. We have a word soul, which is our kind of spiritual essence. It's deeper than my personality, Mark or John, Tom, Dick and Harry. Because it's sort of our life. It's our life. So some live for the spirit. Most of the time, most of us, we just forget that. When we've lost that, we've lost everything. If you build a house on sand, then when the wind blows, it falls down, and what a great fall. So a wise man, he builds his house on solid rock. So if you're a Christian, and Jesus is speaking, of course, this is Jesus. But it means God, it means what is fundamental, that is solid, that is imperishable. Kasmin gyate sarvamidam gyatam bhavati. What is that, says us, Upanishad, what is that, knowing which? All things are known. All this is known. Everything that's taught in the Veda, everything that's taught in the Upanishad, everything that has been taught in these holy scriptures. Then he said, Tadaksharam, that is the imperishable, that which is imperishable. We search, sometimes some fortunate one will look for what is imperishable. I will be faithful to what is imperishable. I will dedicate myself to the imperishable. I will set aside what is perishable and transitory and look for what is eternal. So this is the foundation of all spirituality. And when I came here, they told me in the ashram, oh, God is one. Now, if I, in my older age, after a lifetime of extremely hard work, and a lot of fun also, in the normal course of things, where I was a student, and I remain a student, of course, one always does, and my responsibility and my privilege to teach others. It is that which Kashmiri Shaivism is teaching in 1,000 ways. It is that which Christianity is teaching in 1,000 ways. Lord Jesus and Buddhism in 1,000 ways. No? So if this Kashmiri Shaivism, which has its own identity, its own path, its own way, is to be taught in its true spirit, then we should see it and teach it and understand it in a spiritual perspective. I started Tantra Loka, this great work by Abhinav Gupta on Trika Shaivism, because I had such a great love for it. I'm engaged in writing, translating and commenting in this on Tantra Loka to explain as much as possible in the best way I can. So as presenting the translation, I have to explain a lot in the notes. There's as much notes as what is being translated. It's like any great sacred work, text. You can read it again and again, and you find something new every time. As I try and explain, I do it for people from as far as I can manage and from a spiritual perspective. That means, well, what is it teaching us to do? What is it teaching us about the nature of reality? Much of in the Tantra Loka is also very visionary. Behind all the technicalities, and there are many, you see a very dynamic vision constantly unfolding, a new vision constantly unfolding. That Tantra Loka, one of the things it contains, the kind of things it contains, are very vivid, very exciting, very inspiring descriptions of visionary experience. And it comes in the context of yoga, levels of realization, a kind of journey that you take through different stages of yogic practice. And it also contains tremendous insights into consciousness, being, yourself as a perceiver, as an agent, the activity of your senses, your mind, is constantly one of its many themes is to bring us back into that kind of self-awareness in order to induce and strengthen what we call the realization of our true fundamental conscious nature as infinite being. So every verse in its own way, in different way, proclaims or at least announces a proclamation that we are all perfect infinite beings.
Eti praveshopayo yamanava pragirtitaha Shri Maheshwara Natena Yoritstena Mamodita Shri Brahmayamale Choktam Shri Manravo Dajatmaga Stula Sukshma Parohritya Kantya Stalavya Evacha Sarvatascha Vibhuryoso Vibhutva Padadayaka Dvitaravo Mahayogi Samkrameta Paradehaga Param cha vinnanti vyaptim pratyam yapyasetatam tavat yavat haravesa ravat liyeta ravini